Yes, we are back. E4, E5, knight F3, and then came D5.
E2, E4. Bobby Fischer's comment was best by test.
And I'm forced to move my king. But okay, I do like queen D1. C5, castle short. Knight C6, D3. Rook to E8, C3. Bishop E3, rook E1, you found it. All right, very good. I just didn't understand the move H6. H5. Rook to D2, H3, H4, queen F3, queen B6. So A3's on the board, right? Rook E1, you found it. Queen B5. Bishop F6. So what am I supposed to do here? Bishop D2. Actually, check. After there was a check. And we've seen king G7, G3, rook on E2, king G2. Why did he play queen D7? Okay, well, we'll see. Check. King F1, king G2. King H7 was played, queen B3. By the way, they did follow our line. Bishop to E7, king G2.
Again, after many countless master games, it is considered that the only move for white, is the move queen G4.
Okay. As always, delighted to be with you. Knight F6.
Or maybe it's even bishop G5.
E6, E4. I just didn't understand the move H6, A6. Knight F3, G6, E5, Queen E7. Bishop D3 looks intuitively right. B5.
Castles.
Bishop B7. G4, H5. Well, here I would probably begin with H3. Bishop C2. If I B3, for some reason I thought this knight was coming to B6. Knight G3, Queen D7. And okay, so let's say B4. Bishop B7. F6. Queen H6. I was thinking I could play knight A4. The knight on E2. Queen E8. And now after Queen G7, what? Bishop B6. Knight G5. Oh, well. I like the move knight E2. D4. Check. Looks so impressive. Knight G5. And D3. F7. Bishop B6 with a check. King to E1. Okay. Queen F3. Queen C8, winning the house. Right.
And by the way, Korchnoi was incredibly contemptuous of the Petrosian variation, B6, A3. He just thought that this was a terrible move for white. He just sort of like, you just give up an advantage as white. A2, A3. You
B6, C4, Bishop B7.
Castles?
Suppose I did something like knight F6, E4, maybe C5, D4 landed on the board. Rook B1, B5, right, B3, A6. But I really like this move, Queen C2, Rook to E8. And now we're in this E5. It's new for me too. So let me put the queen on E7. This is the current situation. Knight E5. But now, this feels like black is just fine here. Knight D3. Can an argument be made for Queen B1, by the way? Played Knight F3. That's with a check.
I mean,
a move we've been hitting the drum for some time. Very nice. Queen d3, a5, rook d1, f3. We did see a4, knight f1. So let me just make a move here. Rook d8, knight e3. a3 is not knight d5. He did go queen f6. This is the current situation. I'm thinking that this pawn on e5 is the base, the foundation. d7. So let me put the queen on e7. Queen c6. Well, then king g7. Queen c7. Oh boy. Queen d6. I must say, I wasn't looking there myself. h5. h4. Queen b5. King g7. Queen d6. I'm old-fashioned, right? And where does it... g4? Yes. King to g3. King e6. King f4. f6 always makes it a little bit awkward. I always had difficulty in my chess career playing against somebody I was really close with. That's all she wrote. It was a real... It's time. e6. Knight f6. Knight f3. Bishop to e7. d4 landed on the board. d3. Rook to e8. Very nice. Rook e1, you found it. Bishop d6. Okay, so let's say b4. Knight f3. Bishop c5. Queen b3. Rook b8. Rook e1, you found it. Actually, it's a bit awkward. And we have bishop f4. Rook to e8. Check. Well, I've been anxious to play the move knight e5 for some time. Okay, so king f8. But king g2. It's not good. It's not good. And even worse news is awaiting h5. Queen e7. Knight g6. Check.
You piece of dung.
And I'm forced to move my king. But let's queen d7. Okay, check. And what do the engines say? Queen e5. Check. The bishop on e4 is not really protected. Nice comeback. Nice comeback. d4. Knight c6. b6. e3. Bishop d6. Yes. I'm contemplating f4 actually. h5. Got knight e7. Bishop d3. a6. Queen f3. But let's rook b1. No, that was a brilliant. King g7. King e2. There might be some trickies. Rook to c6. Right. Okay. So we're analyzing to a clean win. King f3. Got knight e7. Rook on h1. Knight f5. Has got the game almost in hand. Check. Black's next three moves are easy. Queen h6. I like the move knight e2. Right. But rook c2, and now after queen g7, I'm just wondering. Knight e4. That's what I'm thinking as well. Okay, so we're up to here. Check. King g2. Check to... There you go. Thank you. As always, delighted to be with you. c5, c3, knight c6, f4,
f6.
Knight on f3, castle. No.
Knight c3.
Castle short. The bishop on e3, bishop to d7, and g4. Well, here I would probably begin with h3. Exactly. But that was, of course, Magnus's strategy, too. Well, knight c5. Of course, you just simply want to play bishop to e3 and king g2. Not even Magnus Carlsen would win. Okay, bishop c8. And is this an issue if black plays h4, b6, knight b3, bishop b7? Yeah, okay, so black has issues, no question. Check. Right. Am I not at least a little bit faster? Yeah, nice. Check. Whoa, bishop a6. So after bishop c4.
It wasn't rigged.
Well, this rook on b7 is pretty lonely as well. I'm not happy at all. The e5. In this position, b4, knight f6, g5, knight e4, b5. Check. And the problem is if I take, whoops, bishop to d4, and after king f3, we have king g4, knight c5, rook to d5, knight d3, put my rook on d6, very good. King to f5, check, king e6, knight d3, knight f4, bishop c3. Wait a minute, g6 and after king f5. Yes, I am done. It was a real... Yes, we are back. d4, e6, knight c3, a6. Of course, you just simply want to play bishop to e3. Again, this knight went to f6. Again, this knight went to f6, f4, d5. He just played rook on d1, bishop d7. Hello.
First blush, you might say, I don't know. Something weird's happening. I just don't know what it is.
Because you also had the other alternative, which you were thinking about as well. Rook e1, you found it. Check. Queen to e2, by the way. Queen to c6.
And that's very simple for him.
Do we want to play b4?
White's best move, according to the chess theoreticians, is the move h4.
Right. Queen c4. f5. Well,
a4.
f6. Wait a minute. g6, and that's an ideal square. Queen f3. So a3's on the board, right? Pawn on a2. Rook e1, you found it. Check. Is that right?
Oh my gosh.
After there was a check.
Resigns.
Okay, that was a fun game. Bishop b7, knight g3, e6, knight on f3, bishop to e7, a3 is not bishop d3, f5, and castle short. c5, and I was just kind of drumming the table for the simple move rook on f1, knight c6, check. Oh my. And knight g5. Yeah, okay, so black has issues, no question.
This was a real disaster.
Let's start with this. d4 looks good. Knight f6.